What's going on, guys? Welcome to our podcast, Walking Manifestator. I am your host, Alexa Peña, and in this podcast, I am on one mission and one mission only, and that is going to help you awaken your truest and highest self. Embrace and embody your true power and help you elevate to a completely new consciousness. A transformational journey with the Walking Manifestator you are born to be. In this conversation, I want to talk about the importance of understanding why we need to stop asking, why isn't our manifestation here? Why isn't the job promotion here? Why isn't the love of my life here? Why isn't my bank account at the level that I want for my bank account? And instead, start asking, who is the person that I need to become in order to receive that amount of money, receive that amount of clients, receive that ideal relationship that I'm praying for, receive that job promotion that I want. The thing that I've realized in my manifestation journey is that every time that I operate from lack, this actually puts everything at a standstill. And the way I like to see it is it's kind of like God telling us, okay, there is something here that you need to learn. There is something here that you need to grow from. And I'm going to use two analogies to describe why it's important for you to actually start asking, who do you need to become? And number two, how when you're operating from lack, it is actually keeping your manifestation at a standstill. The first analogy that I want you to think of is, let's say you are a parent, or maybe you are a parent, and this analogy is going to work even better for you because you are already going through it. But when your kids tell you, I want to stay up all night and I don't want to go to bed at a certain time, I want to eat sweets until my teeth fall off. They clearly don't say it with those words, but that's what they're implying. If they told you that, you as a responsible parent would say, no, you're not going to do that. Or let's say they asked you for your car keys and you as a responsible parent know that they're 10 years old, that they cannot drive. You are going to be the parent in that circumstance and say, you know what? No, you're not allowed to get my keys and go drive because you would crash and something really bad would happen. I want you to use that same analogy and apply it to God being your parent and you being the kid. Even if you're an adult, even if you're 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, you're always going to be his kid. And this is something that I share because if he is our father, if he is our mother, if he is our creator, okay, his job, yes, is to give us free will, just like we give our kids free will for them to explore and make mistakes and learn from their mistakes. But at the same time, we also teach our kids at a very young age, don't touch the stove because it's going to burn you. And then when they do it because they didn't listen, you're kind of like, I told you to not touch the stove. You're going to burn yourself. Same analogy is applicable here with the car keys. You are the kid. We are the kids, I should say, because I'm not excluded from this example. And we're asking God, I want more opportunities. God, I want more blessings in my life. God, I want more clients. And God is looking at us like, have you become the person that is willing and ready to service these clients at the highest level? Are you the person that is a godly wife? You keep praying for a husband, but are you this godly wife that you keep actually not realizing that you need to become in order for you to hold that husband that is a godly husband? Now, why is this so important when it comes to our manifestation journey? God is not going to give us more than we can actually handle. Therefore, the question we should start asking is, who do I need to become to hold the blessing that I'm praying for? Let's say you're a light bulb and you want to put 1,000 watts of electricity through a 60-watt light bulb. The light bulb is going to explode. Now, why is that so relevant here? Because we need to understand that God is not going to give us more than we can handle. And that goes on both ends. It goes on the positive and it goes on the negative. He's not going to give you more troubles and turbulence and lessons that you can handle, but he's also not going to give you more blessings than you can handle. And I want to get into how this ties into not operating from lack. We actually see in scripture and in science that it is teaching us constantly that what we're thinking about is who we become. And it says it in a scripture. It says, as a man thinketh, so is he. And when you look at the neurological side and neuroplasticity, you actually understand that the thoughts that are wiring together are firing together. What does that mean? That everything you're thinking about becomes who you are. When you're constantly thinking about lack, meaning what you don't have, meaning why you feel broken, why you feel like the relationships never last, why you're looking at your bank account and you feel like, I can't be happy right now, Alexa, I am at the verge of losing everything. This is where the magic really happens. And to use my second analogy, I want you to start picturing it as what you do when you order something online. Like when you order something on Amazon, you go on Amazon, you put in your information, you pay for the thing, and then you just wait for the thing to arrive. You're not wondering if Amazon is going to send it to you. You just know that you paid it. And maybe there's going to be a delay, right? Maybe there's going to be a setback. Maybe there's going to be an unforeseen life event that happens that you have no control over. But what you do know is that you paid for it and you're going to get your product one way or another, sooner or later. And this is so important because it ties into what you're constantly thinking of. If you just expect that the best is going to happen, even when you don't see it, that is the magic. This is why it says faith without works is dead, meaning that when you know you're putting in the effort, you're walking in alignment with the person that is already a person that is getting the amount of clients that you want and servicing them to the highest level, or you already started that business and you're waking up early every day to make sure that you have everything ready. And even though you don't have the clients, you're waking up early and you're doing your part to show up. Or maybe you're trying to push it more, so you start making videos every day. And even though some of them flop, you're on YouTube searching how to make my videos better, short format versus long format. That is the action. But just like the Amazon delivery analogy, you are not going to win anything from constantly thinking of lack, from constantly thinking of why is it that that person already got 1 million followers and I still don't? Why is it that that person already has, the house, the car, the kids, the husband, and I don't? Why is it that that person already got the degree and I don't? When we get in this lack energy, what we're doing is that we're sending a signal so strong. And I want you to realize this, you're such a powerful manifester that you're always manifesting. However, it's not always in your best interest. This is why I've noticed that some of the times where my business has been skyrocketing, if I'm not careful, sabotage it. I either get sick, I come up with some type of crazy thing that I want to purchase that kind of sabotages the growth that I could have had, or there's something that if I don't realize it, it's actually keeping me at the same level because subconsciously, this is what I want you to realize. You're not doing it consciously, it's subconsciously, meaning you're not necessarily aware of it. You're too afraid of what the next level means. So I want you to ask yourself, what is it about this next level that actually scares you? Even if you haven't really sat down to think about it, I want you to really
Jot down, what is it about this next level that scares you so much that unconsciously you might be sabotaging that blessing? And two, I want you to write, what is that next level actually so exciting about? What is the most exciting thing about that next level? So just like you just covered the things that are scaring you the most, I want you to get into the things that are exciting you the most. Because you see, once we can start rewiring our mind, which is the same thing that scripture teaches us, renew your mind. Rewire your mind is the same as renewing your mind, meaning the thoughts that you're having, you're putting in new thoughts. Instead of saying, I'm not worthy, you say, I am always growing and becoming a better version of myself. Instead of saying, I don't have money, you're saying, I'm growing and I am investing in my business and I am continuing to give my best effort. Instead of saying, I am unlovable, you say, I love myself and I am improving every single day. This is the rewiring part. And why this is so impactful when it comes to your blessing, to your manifestation, to whatever you're looking to call in, is because just like we said in the analogy of Amazon, once you can expect that the best is going to happen, even when the worst is happening or the perceived feeling that we get, and we believe that it's the worst, when in reality it's not the worst, because there's always a worse or worse. There's always something worse that can happen. But we think that's the worst that can happen. The worst that can happen, you say, is that I lose my job because I tried to, stand up for myself and what I feel is right. But what if that was the actual step that you needed to take in order for you to end up in the job that you're supposed to be? And what if leaving that relationship was the very thing that you needed to do in order to find your soulmate, but because you worked on yourself? What if the accolade wasn't actually the thing that you wanted, but it was actually just the confidence to speak boldly and share your unfiltered version of you? So this is so important because once we can understand that we need to stop operating from lack, we need to stop thinking that it's not going to happen and just expect that it is going to happen, that the best is going to happen. Now we want to get into the next part of this, which is I want you to stop being jealous of other people. I want you to stop thinking that why is it that they are able to fill in the blank? And I want you to start seeing them as evidence of what is real, evidence of what you can also do. Because here's the truth. Those people are the proof that God has blessed them and therefore he can bless you. But here's the thing, here's a caveat, here's a paradox effect to this. Their blessing is not your blessing. Their prayer is not your prayer. Their dream is not your dream. Therefore, when you stop comparing yourself, when you stop saying, why is it that it's so easy for them and so hard for me? When you release control and you surrender and you continue to align with, who do I need to become? Who do I need to become in order for me to have more clients? Who do I need to become in order for me to have that ideal relationship? Who do I need to become in order for me to have that business that I want? This is where the magic of surrendering and becoming gives you the manifestation. Because just like we talked about earlier, it's going back to the analogy of, God being our father. He's looking at us like, they got it. They're not in lack. They're not so worried about the fact that I am not going to give them the car keys prematurely. When my kids, I tell them, I'm going to take you to Peter Piper, or I'm going to take you to Dave & Buster's, or I'm going to take you to Gamescape. Whenever I tell them that I'm going to take them somewhere and they keep asking me, are we going to go yet? Are we going to go yet? Are we going to go yet? What about now? Are we going to go now? Mom. I tell them, you ask me one more time and we're not going to go. We're not going to go. Ask me one more time. And typically at that point, they stop asking. And because I know that I promised them something, I just wanted them to learn to be patient. I give it to them. I take them. I want you to ask yourself, where is it that you're constantly asking God now? Are you going to give it to me now? Are you going to give it to me now? And God's like, child, keep asking. And the more that you ask, the more that it's going to take. The last thing I want to leave you with right now is just continue to ask yourself, what would that version of me do differently if I already had the thing? So for example, if for you it's making more money, right? And you're like, Alexa, like I really just want to make more money. There's a lot of people that have a limiting belief, and I've seen it with like family members that I love dearly. Okay. There's a lot of people that believe that the harder I work, the more money I will make, the more progress I will make. That is a limiting belief. Why? Because what you're saying to God, what you're saying to the universe, what you're saying, and because you're such a powerful creator, what you're essentially doing is you're saying, you know what? I don't believe things should be easy. I don't believe things should be given to me. I believe that the only way to actually make exponential money and multiple sources of income at different amounts and at vast majorities is if I work hard. And you know what? I've had this mindset for a very long time. And even this morning before 8 a.m., I was dealing with 6 contracts that we have right now. And one of my transaction coordinators, he is, you can tell he's like really new. And with the company that I've worked with for a few years, they're just growing too big and they're not able to service the amount of clients that they're getting. And this is actually a perfect example. They're growing too fast and they don't have the systems to service the clients at the level that they were originally servicing the clients. So they just lost me. They lost me today as a client. I told him, you know what? I don't need your services anymore. I am canceling and I'm going to find another company, another transaction coordinator. And before 8 a.m. hit, I was already dealing with like a bunch of things, right? Like agents texting me, my assistant messaging me, my clients messaging me, like everybody. And I'm there at the gym like, oh my God, like I need to get all of this stuff done. 2 things that I want you to take away from here. The first thing that I did was I said, you know what? I'm not going to get reactive. I'm not going to let this take my energy. Today's a great day, and I should actually be very thankful that I have all these clients, and I'm going to relax. That was the first thing I did. And that allowed my energy to start flowing and just feel better. And the second thing I realized was what I'm talking to you about right now. This is why God doesn't give you more than you can handle, because sometimes when you force things to happen before your time, you end up losing the blessing anyway. In this case, the clients. In this case, the relationship. In this case, it could be the house. In this case, it could be the car. Like I've seen people that get their dream car and lose their dream car because they sabotage themselves. They didn't realize that the blessing they were getting, they weren't ready for. They pushed it. They pushed it because they wanted to feel good about what other people were going to say, what other people were going to think, whatever it was for them. We need to be willing to see our blind spots. And like I've said, I'm not excused from this. I think I've talked to you guys very, very openly for the past years, where I know that I have a lot of things that I am constantly working on. One of the big ones for me is control. So for me, the fact that I need to practice the art of surrendering is a big one. But I can tell you from experience, when I started adding who do I need to become into the surrender mix, it made everything feel a lot easier. It made everything feel a lot more aligned. So whether you're starting off in your manifestation journey, whether you're at the point where you're trying to call in the next 6 figures, whether you're at the point where you just want to catch a break, the power of surrendering and starting to ask, who do you need to become, is going to be something that's going to change everything for you. So with that being said, I hope this episode was helpful for even just one of you. As always, we'll have all of our resources linked down below on the description for you guys to claim either access to our school community or our workbooks that we have. So definitely check that out. And if nobody has told you this, remember that you are loved, you are worthy, and you can absolutely manifest anything you want. I'll talk to you on the next one.
Thank you so much for watching yet another episode of Walking Manifestator. And with that being said, I want to remind you, visualize, embody, and transcend. Be the walking manifestator you are born to be.